to roll the intro. It's your show, sir.
All right. Can I see Charles? Are you in here, sir?
There we go. Hello. I was backstage, but I'm here.
Oh,
I hope you can
awesome.
hear me well. Hope I'm audible. Yeah, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
It's going well. Yeah. Let's just let's make sure our stream is working here. Let me pull up Twitter over here. Okay, so I see D King. Is there a way to get Charles and I's avatars on here?
Yeah, I'm just clicking away backstage here. We'll see if we can get figured out.
Yeah, no worries.
Hitting the buttons, but yeah, your avatars are not coming up on stage. Just a second here. The important thing is
everybody. Yeah, hell yeah! Everybody in the audience, blame this on me because I came in right at the last second. It was a buzzer beater appearance. So blame it on me for not being ready for the audio check, visual check. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
No worries. This is the beauty of a live stream. Yeah, I think we can try a screen share check too. Maybe we can go through that as well, just so we're ready for later.
I can give that a try.
I've got the Twitter pulled up here, so I see what we're broadcasting live, and we have the mode background filler.
Okay, let's see if I can add this to the stage here. It's still not showing up.
Interesting.
I wonder how we're broadcasting this placeholder.
Yeah, I'm just going through the options here. They're literally just buttons that you push to get people up on stage, and there's buttons to modify the layout. And the buttons are not doing anything at the moment. There's some new buttons. New buttons aren't doing anything else.
Should we try? I think if Deez and I leave, and then come back, like the stream will still keep going because you're in here, DK.
Yeah.
So maybe if we just try another round, leave and come back, and then
yep, hard 90s reset. Let's blow on on the Nintendo 64 console here.
Yeah.
See you soon.
All right. Okay.
Stage. I'm in the show. We're live. We're back.
No. There's a background there. Very strange. There's a background there.
I can hear you though, Charles. So we're there.
Yeah, I can hear you both on the computer that I'm broadcasting from, as well as on my other computer. So the listeners are listening. They're just not seeing at the moment.
Okay. Let's just do this Twitter space style, even though we don't have much engagement. And D King, feel free to experiment as much as you like in the background. And if we get there, we get there. If not, we will we'll have a nice audio session here. Charles, are you there? Testing?
I'm here. Okay, there we go. I'm here. Sorry, I tried something in hopes that it would help, but that's okay. Yeah, happy to do this audio. Yeah, hopefully by the time we get to some sort of demo, maybe something will have been figured out, but no worries if not. Happy to do audio. No problems on my end. So yeah, let's kick it off.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Welcome to our third edition, for our audio only fans, those who are on transit, to our fellow burgers who it's 4th of July. Hope you're out doing something. We're here enjoying DeFi on this wonderful national holiday. This is our third in our Mode DeFi Deep 5 series, where we demystify some of these opportunities on Mode and get to know some of our amazing DeFi protocols a bit better. So we've covered Steer, I believe, was first week, and then we covered Beefy, and now we have Ironclad on board. So brief introductions. My name is Deez, head of growth here, doing a whole bunch of DeFi incubation stuff, and excited to have Charles from Ironclad. If you wouldn't mind giving a brief intro, and then we'll dive into the Ironclad story after that.
Yeah, totally. Hello, everyone. I'm Charles. I am leading growth for Ironclad. Yeah, so I'm an active DeFi user. I got into DeFi, I guess it was 2021. So I'm not, I guess I'm not a super OG. I don't think 2021, sort of class of 2021 can be considered OG. But yeah, I found one of my friends put me on to Bitcoin when I was doing my economics degree. And I just found it to be a really, really interesting sort of social experiment. And obviously, it started ripping, and I was like, well, this is, this is definitely here to stay. So from there, my friend was getting into NFTs, and I found Ethereum. He was a graphic designer, so obviously he was more drawn to like the artistic side of things and the creator side of things. I was studying economics and finance, so I was immediately drawn to DeFi. And I guess kind of the rest is history. I can go into how I kind of made my way to Ironclad as well. Yeah, so you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I got into DeFi. I started doing a bunch of research. I was on ETH mainnet, obviously, at the beginning, and I was a broke college student. And, I started, my first kind of area where I dove really deeply into was AMMs. It's a pretty natural starting point. And Uni V3 was, I guess, fairly new at that point. And so after going into the standard, V2 models, XYK research, I found Uni V3, and it just blew my mind, and I got way too excited about it. And then I started opening positions on mainnet and paying like $80 in gas. And I was like, oh, like this is fine. Like, like, I'll make my money back. I'm gonna leave this in forever. So totally. I just was way too excited, and then after a few weeks, the excitement kind of wore off. I took off the rose-colored glasses, and I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm just spending a ton of money on gas and just losing money. So I found L2s. I was active on Phantom back in the day, and that's kind of where I found the Byte Masons, who are now known as Conclave. So we are the team behind Ironclad Finance. And in the early days, I was just a community member, started answering a bunch of questions, started doing a bunch of research and writing articles for them. They were managing Reaper.farm, which is a yield aggregator on Phantom. Never had a token, got to 300 million TVL, which is cool. As I got deeper into the community, they offered me a job. So I finished my degree and then joined them full time. That's kind of led me to this point. Obviously, we've built a lot of stuff and done a lot of development since then. So there's a lot of steps from the Phantom days to now expanding onto Mode and other networks. But yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell, or not so nutshell. Pretty long-winded, to be honest.
No, that's a great DeFi story. I too had a similar entrance into that. I was an early helium miner, and it was all just magic internet money to me. It was just numbers on a screen, and I too was cranking DeFi positions and not blinking at these over $100 gas fees to create these, because everything was like, oh, this is just the ticket to get into the amusement park
Yeah.
here, but that is not necessarily how it works. And then, the Reaper farms, of course, knowing that when you discover your first aggregator and you say, oh, so these things can compound, always is a nice discovery wherever people are on their DeFi journey. So the granary was kind of the background. How has that evolved into these different money markets that Conclave has done? What are the lessons have been, and how has it led to what Ironclad is today? And how did you guys find yourselves to Mode?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. So following Reaper Farm, and this is always kind of strange for me to talk about, because at this point in our history, I was still kind of just a community member and kind of just getting started. So you'll hear me say things like "we developed," but at this point, I wasn't really that involved. So I feel kind of I'm kind of just inserting myself into the story. But yeah, the team helped develop Radiant V2, and started doing a lot of research into money markets. And I think Granary actually came before that. So wanted to expand into the lending and also stablecoin side of things. And so, oh, wow, look at that. Haha. Yes. Everybody shout out D-King. We're on the screen now, I think. I hope you can all see us.
Amazing. Look at
awesome.
that.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah, so research into Aave codebase kind of started, I guess, I don't even know when that was, but the desire to expand into the lending market and stablecoin markets sort of arose. And Granary was our first implementation of a lending market. Just taking the Aave code base and making some very small adjustments, nothing major, but just optimizing things like gas and just user experience. And so Granary was kind of a multi-chain lending market. It's still around. Granary V2 is actually being developed as we speak, which that's a whole other show in itself. But Granary is a multi-chain lending protocol. And then following Granary, after the Luna collapse, we kind of did some reflecting on what people in DeFi want, what users want, and how we can get it to them in a sustainable way, and in a way that isn't like a Ponzi. Because after Luna, like, obviously people want interest-bearing assets. They want interest-bearing stables, especially. And while Luna completely was a flawed model, the product market fit was obviously there. So we were like, okay, how can we develop stable coins that we can funnel sustainable yield to in a totally transparent and actually legitimate way, and in a scalable way? And how can we use our lending market and yield aggregation experience to kind of facilitate that, realize that vision? So that's where we developed ethos.reserve, or ethos.finance, called Ethos Reserve, which is our first CDP on Optimism mainnet. Now, we essentially took the Liquidity code base and made some adjustments such as multi-collateral types and the ability to redirect collateral to things like lending markets such that they can bootstrap lending markets supply side, earn some yield, and funnel that to the stablecoin. So that was our first CDP implementation, and using Granary and Reaper Farm as like back-end infrastructure to funnel to surface yields, and funnel it to stablecoin holders. Now, we didn't really see as much adoption on Optimism as we had hoped, but this kind of kicked off our our model as it exists now, which is developing these CDP, we call them native credit layers. So these native credit layers on different L2s, Ironclad being the mode implementation, and having this extremely competitive lending environment where you have a money market and you have a CDP module as well. And they work together really seamlessly. And the fact that we've developed everything in-house means that we don't have to rely on external protocols and their security practices. And we don't have to do a bunch of research into what security measures they're taking. Like, I'm sure people have heard about the Sunday exploit that happened, I guess, maybe a month ago now. So things like that, we want to eliminate all exposure to events like that happening. So now we can, we have this yield aggregation tech. We have a really, really efficient lending market, and we have this CDP tech that we can put together to create a really amazing lending environment, lending and borrowing environment, and yield generating environment for users. So I'll pause there. I know I'm being really long-winded, but I'm excited to dive into it as it relates to Ironclad.
No, thank you. No, it's really, really important. I think we just have to consider everyone's DeFi journey and where they are and when they're discovering this. So whether you're just a newbie coming in, you're like, oh, look at all these lending markets. What do I do? All these decisions. And then who are these different teams? What are the competitive aspects of that? And then people diving into docs and seeing features and game plans and how things work. But there is so much more behind that because the teams that are developing these protocols have stories. And so you say class of 2021 isn't that OG, but it really is because in the DeFi world, because that's where all this stuff started exploding and the pieces were coming together. And I think it's very important for the audience and anyone really, when they're evaluating projects, is what is the team's story? Where have they been? Because the best experience, especially in this world, is we can only research so much. We can only read so many docs, make implementations, but the teams that have built through multiple cycles, they've seen multiple exploits, they've stayed up all night, worried about things and new implementations and launches. That's what builds resiliency. And so when we do see these nice, Ironclad's docs and game plan, you can just tell in the writing and the implementation that it didn't come out of nowhere. There was a story behind it. And so I'm super
100%.
grateful we get this time to dive into that.
Likewise. And I do want to emphasize the security aspect of it, because while I'm not a developer and I'm not one of the engineers, our firm started as an engineering firm. And we've got, I think it's like 20 engineers on staff. I think 15 of them are senior ETH security engineers. So it's those, I think they're rough numbers. There's people coming on every day. We're expanding pretty quickly, but it started as a security engineering firm. And that has been like number one priority for our entire team since day one, since before I even joined. So I would say overall, to characterize the team, we're engineers first. And now we're really starting to put more effort into growth, BD, marketing, things like this, areas where we've historically kind of lacked in the past. So just to sort of put a bow on that and highlight it.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's dive into that a little bit. As security engineers, how much do you think, like Conclave, when you guys are looking at other money markets and designing your own, how much revenue, if you don't mind me asking, have you guys pulled in from bug bounties looking at other people's projects?
Dude, I honestly don't even know. Like a lot of our engineers have done a lot of this, like have done some of this work independently. I honestly, I'm the wrong person to ask, to be honest. But before I joined, I know that they were doing a lot of auditing work, a lot of client work. Probably most of which are under like NDAs and things like this. But I think the Radiant V2 helping to develop and secure that code base is probably I guess the best thing to highlight in terms of how large the protocol is and how well known that team is and how well known that project is. I saw a question from NRAP, partnership with Sturdy Finance. We are very close with Sturdy. I love Sturdy. Sam is awesome, and I would say we're partnered with them. I'm excited to be able to make use of their protocol more. And we can get into that a little bit as we talk about Ironclad and IUSD to drop a little primer.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I love some of those. It's one of those my favorite stories talking to engineers when they're bootstrapping protocols, when they're forking other code base. It's like, yeah, we actually covered our first few months of expenses by finding all the vulnerabilities when we were, taking this. So. Great stuff. I know you guys are as blue chip as it gets as far as security practices, and the team is anyone who's in the space knows how well respected they are, and gosh, we're so lucky to be working with you guys on Mode, and love developing cool stuff together with that ethos of security, but also pushing the envelope, right? Considering the end game, the app layer, as well as all the liquidity challenges in between before we get there. But yes, we're heading into the meat of this thing. Let's get into how we explore these opportunities on Mode. So typically I like to start at the surface level. If someone is just kind of browsing, they're a Mode user, they're curious, and they want to find some opportunities. If we can start at perhaps DeFi Llama and then filtering yield, and then kind of seeing what pops up, and then if you're comfortable with that, I think we should start there.
Sure. Should I share my screen, or are you gonna? I can do that.
Yeah. If you're the captain, I'll just narrate. So,
cool. All right.
You need to if you need some time to queue that up. Your honey hole V3 positions aren't exposed to the world. You want to make sure that no one's diluting your yield during this volatility.
I can't give away all my secrets. No, so let's do that. Here we go. Okay, I'm on DeFi Llama. And by the way, for anyone I use as my search engine, DeFi Llama has something called Llama Search, and it's just an extension on Chrome. For anyone who isn't aware of that, please use Llama Search, because what they do is you can just type in protocol names into like the search bar, and they will direct you to the app, the correct app. So it filters out a bunch of phishing. Anyways, Llama Search, check it out. I love the llamas; they're awesome. Okay, yeah. So we're on DeFi Llama here, and I think maybe we should start at. Should we go to yields? Is that a good place to start? I mean, we can look at the.
You are the captain, so typically I think about, my user journey, but there's so many ways to pet a llama, as we say, right? So I usually go to yields and then kind of poke around, but whatever you think a user journey would be, where do you think people normally start when they're looking for opportunities on Mode?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess. People usually start, when you go to DeFi Llama, you're directed towards the overview. Like the homepage is the DeFi overview. And then I would say like as you're just getting started, oh God, my computer is the worst. Okay, here we go. People generally just kind of scroll through here and look at like the top TVL numbers. But if we type in mode, we can take a look at all the top protocols, and we can see Ironclad there. The reason I like to start at yield is because maybe some of these categories further down are not as well known to people just starting their journey. And DeFi Llama is a lot more than just, a simple, I need to find a URL, or I need to find how much value is on a certain chain. They have a ton of really cool categories called, there's airdrops. There's actually a raise category where you can see who has raised money recently, where VCs and funds are putting their money, unlocks, bridges. It's a really comprehensive tool. So just to highlight that for everybody, make use of DeFi Llama and spend some time going through all of what they have here, because DeFi Llama and governance forums are the two greatest sources of alpha in my opinion. So like data analytics tools like DeFi Llama, and then going through governance forums and being up to date on different incentive programs are, I would say, really, really useful tools. So you can see Ironclad here. Look at all this red. It's very sad. All the tokens are down right now. My bags are hurting. So let's not focus on that. So Ironclad is here. I'm actually going to go to the yields tab, and let's look at some yields on mode, because I believe Ironclad will pop up at the top. So as I waste a bunch of time with my slow computer.
This is live streams are great because this is the user journey. This is
indeed, yeah.
We want people to feel comfortable stumbling through.
Yeah, totally. So this is the yields tab, and I'm on the pools section. There's also pages for delta neutral strategies, leveraged lending, only stablecoin pools. Like there's a bunch of things you can look at. And it will sort through TVL automatically. So Ironclad's a pretty large lending protocol. But there's a bunch of other toggles you can hit here. So I like to do 30-day average APY because that will give you a more accurate representation of what you can kind of expect in the long term. Typically, as everyone knows, variable yields in DeFi, they're really variable on a day-to-day or even hour-to-hour basis. So here we go. I see a couple Ironclad positions here. So the mode lending really stuck out to me. I was looking at this yesterday because the lending on mode, there's been a lot of borrow demand. And I've been personally, I've got a big stack of modes lending on Ironclad because the 30-day APY has been like 15%, which is pretty nutty. Because a lot of people want to borrow mode at the time. USDC, same thing. Lots of USDC borrowing happening, and so you get this lending, these deposit rates that are really, really good. And you can go down the list depending on what you're trying to do. I wonder. I actually haven't checked out Morpho. That makes sense. We can filter by mode. I actually haven't checked out this leverage lending page, but I wonder if they've got anything. Okay, all right. I think it's a relatively new feaper. So
whenever we see not populated data like that, that is an opportunity, my friends, for the dApps at the protocol level to get some nice isolated exposure. So
indeed, that's true.
Some alpha to all protocols watching this. Check out DeFi Llama. If they're not picking something up, you can slide into their DMs. That might be a sneaky little spotlight.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a really good call out. Actually, I have to go right now. Sorry. I have to talk to DeFi Llama immediately. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to just show here is that this little, they have a nice toggle for protocols that don't have tokens and are expecting a token. They have a little airdrop symbol here. So Ironclad's airdrop is happening very soon. We had a points program running where our points are called embers. So people were collecting embers for several months. The farming is over, unfortunately. The points have stopped, but our airdrop is happening in a couple weeks here. So just wanted to highlight that. And there's also an airdrops tab somewhere here. Unlocks. Well, it's somewhere. I think it's under the DeFi thing. So if you want to check out any protocols that don't, there it is. Any protocols that don't have tokens and are expecting one, another really good way to filter through. Okay, cool. So let's go to the actual app. Oh, and it's not going to let me. All right. Well, I have it open. If you search Ironclad under the overview tab, they'll have a link. But I've got the.
I think if you click one more time, into those pools, I think it'll take you there. I think it's just a little nutty on the links, but yeah, that works too.
Oh,
we can go straight in.
All right. Well, my bad. Okay.
No worries.
Cool. So here, I've shared a new screen there, D-King and our lovely producer in the background. Yeah, nice. So this is the Ironclad homepage. I always like to feature this because our web designer is extremely talented, and he develops really, really nice websites. So yeah, scroll through that if you'd like to take a look. We've got bridge resources at the top. You can read the docs. There's articles available. But I'm going to hit dashboard to go to the app, and I will share this tab. And here it is. I can't believe I'm on light mode. Oh my God. What a maniac. There's also dark mode if you want. But here's the app. So as it exists currently, it's a lending market. So for anyone who doesn't know what that means, what you can do is you can lend your assets and you can borrow other assets. It is over collateralized, like pretty much all lending in DeFi, meaning I put down, say, $1 of ETH. I can borrow up to 85 cents of another asset. And as prices fluctuate, your health ratio, so how much you've borrowed versus how much you've supplied, will fluctuate. So that's how it works. If the amount borrowed goes up in value, you could get partially liquidated, and that's how the system stays healthy. So this is the lending market. You can see all of the supported assets here. And we've got some market stats on the side. And yeah, this is what we were saying about the mode rates. It's at 11% now, but yeah, over the last month, it's been killing it. I'm not on my main wallet, but I do have a big stack of mode in here somewhere. So
when you're just to pause really quickly, when you're looking at this page, mode markets, and there's 4 columns here, are there anything that sticks out to you when you look at this? Like when you're analyzing things, like what sticks out as an opportunity, or maybe a market that's like, I don't know if I want to get involved in that right now?
Yeah, so really good call out. So the way that interest rates are determined in decentralized lending markets is based on something called the utilization rate. So what the utilization is simply is how much has been borrowed versus how much has been supplied. Obviously, for people to borrow assets, there needs to be people on the other side who are lending those. So if we're looking at, say, the mode market here, almost 150K has been lent and 70K has been borrowed from that market. This is why you get these high rates for lending and for borrowing, is because the utilization on this market is, and maybe where is it there? Okay, well, it's represented by this by this nice little circle here. But the utilization on this market is relatively high, meaning there's a lot of people demanding to borrow mode. And so lenders get paid out quite a bit because there's demand to borrow. So when you're looking at markets, you want to pay attention to how much has been lent versus how much has been borrowed. And something that you should always pay attention to for lending markets, if the utilization is reaching its max capacity, so usually that's about 85% of the supplied market is borrowed. If it's reaching max capacity and it actually reaches its max utilization, anyone who has lent money to that market will not to withdraw until someone else repays their borrow. So that's something you have to pay attention to, where if all of the mode in this market has been borrowed, the lenders are going to get really, really good rates, but in order to keep the system healthy, they're not going to be able to withdraw what they've supplied until someone repays their borrow. So that's something to pay attention to. You always want to pay attention to the utilization rates, and that's where the APYs or APRs, how they're derived. Now, okay, I'll touch on something really quickly, and then I'm going to come back to interest rates and some of the work we're doing there. So a very popular thing to do with lending markets is create leverage. So how you would do that, if I wanted to lever long mode, I would deposit mode, borrow, say, USDC, borrow a stablecoin, swap what I've borrowed back into mode, and then deposit more mode, and loop that. It's called looping. Loop that a couple times such that I would have more exposure to mode than my initial bag. And that's called looping. And Ironclad has a really cool feature that you can, there's one-click looping. So essentially, you don't have to manually leverage positions. We have a feature where you can do that automatically. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that now. I think my wallet's connected. I have some mode assets, and I actually have to switch to mode. I have to swap to some mode because all I have is USDC. Oh God, what a fail. But in any case,
powder for the dip, my friend. Powder for the dip. Not a fail.
Yeah, I'm actually happy with how I've sort of played it safe. I'm not the most degen person in the world, but when days like today happen, I'm always there to scoop. So let's say I wanted to deposit 500 mode. I can slide this little leverage thing up however much I want. So at the moment, this health factor is going to tell me sort of, I guess, how healthy my position is given fluctuations in the mode price. So it will show me how much. So if I want to do 2x leverage, all I'd have to do is slide this little leverage bar up to 2. I'd hit an improve transactions, and then I'd loop it. And this is obviously a little bit more risky than no leverage. It just means that smaller price movements in mode to the downside are going to get me liquidated faster than if I was to do no leverage. I'm sure everybody is somewhat familiar with leverage because you're all degens. And so, yeah, I'm happy to swap to some mode and do a transaction here. I just don't want to take up too much time. But
no, this is it's a deep dive, my friend. So if you want to, feel free. If not, okay. I definitely, before you get too far in, I want to touch on, you opened up a lot of vocabulary there for a second.
Yeah.
You opened up liquidation. You opened up, we might have to dive in a little bit there before we get too far ahead of ourselves.
All right. I'm speed running. Yeah. Is there something in particular that
so what is liquidation? I mean, we haven't even touched on that. How does that work? Or
Yeah,
when would that
okay,
happen?
so
That sounds like a scary word.
yeah, that's true. Okay, so how about this? I'm gonna supply some USDC, and I will borrow mode. And let's go max. I've got $50. So I'm gonna supply some USDC, and then I'll. Oh, whoops. What? Okay. Oh, why does this happen? Why does this have to happen? Network error. What?
These are why live streams are great.
Right on the live.
This is,
Okay, I'm hitting the magical button of DeFi, which is refresh. Refreshing data. Okay. USDC market. Please. For me. I might have to disconnect and then, oh, there we go. It worked. All right.
that was an underrated comment, by the way. The magical button of DeFi is refresh. I hope everyone in the audience knows this. It is truly, it brings you back to, blowing on the cassette tape, giving the VCR a little tap. It's the best.
Yeah, honestly. I think I can't take credit for coining that, but I think that stuck with me from like maybe 2 years ago watching Steven from DeFi Dojo, the calculator guy, watching his videos. And I think I heard that term when he was going through one of his tutorials. It truly is the magical button, because any problems that you have, like support tickets in Discords, I'm just like, did you try refreshing? Like half the time they're like, oh, perfect. So yeah, alpha, that's the true alpha. Okay, so I've successfully supplied 50 USDC. So I'm going to borrow some mode. Not going to borrow USDC. I'm going to borrow mode. And I'm going to slide this health factor up to something that I'm comfortable with. So essentially, this is going to dictate at what price I'm going to be liquidated. And what liquidation means is that the value of what you've borrowed has gone up in price such that you're borrowing too much based on what you've supplied. And the system has to stay over collateralized. It has to be able to close out all positions in the event of the market crashing, like on a day like today. So a liquidation means that the price of the asset that you borrowed has gone up too much, and your position is no longer healthy, meaning it's no longer sufficiently over collateralized. So the money market, in this case Ironclad, will sell some of your collateral to keep your position healthy. So if I slide this health factor up to 2, which is something I'm comfortable with, it will show me available liquidity, can be used as collateral, liquidation thresholds. This is something that I would like to add to the UI actually, which is showing a price at which you will start to get liquidated. But maybe I'm just gonna click borrow and do this anyways. But as the price of mode goes up, since I borrowed it, on my dashboard, it's going to show me my health rate approaching 1. And if your health rate goes below 1, some of your collateral will be sold to keep your position healthy and keep your health rate above 1. That's essentially what users have to pay attention to. So I know I've kind of talked around in circles a bit here, but I promise that it's easier than how I'm describing it. So I've now supplied some USDC. I've borrowed about $20 worth of mode. And that's a healthy position. Now, if mode, the price of mode goes up by 2, I will then have borrowed $42, which is not sufficiently, my position will no longer be sufficiently collateralized. So it will sell some of my USDC to maintain the health of my position. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Yeah, but that's how you open a position on Ironclad. I've now got mode in my wallet, and I can use that to do whatever I want. Go earn some yields elsewhere, or even supply it to take advantage of this really high mode's APR, supply APR. I know we're going through a lot of stuff at the moment. But.
That was great. I mean, this is what a deep dive is for. I'm actually chatting with D King to see if he has a appointment at. Okay, he said he's fine to go over. Charles, do you have any obligations in 10 minutes or no?
I'm all good.
Okay.
I don't.
I don't either. So if the audience is cool and all parties are cool, I would like to. Not be pressured by that 10-minute coming up. I want to make sure we get all this communicated and then leave ample time to come up, talk about upcoming ICL and IUSD and all that. So no rush. Just wanted to pop that in there. This has been great so far.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Do we have any? I think we have a question with mode token get liquidated soon because it goes down. Oh, that is a comment. That is a off comment. But yes, if prices go down, then liquidation occurs. So when it sells some of the collateral, what does that mean? Does that mean I when I pay back my loan, I get less back? Is that right?
Exactly. So since I borrowed mode, the price will have to go up for me to get liquidated because it's on the borrow side. If I had supplied mode and borrowed USDC and the mode price goes down, it's the same thing. Some of my collateral will get liquidated. So it just means that you will have less collateral to claim once you repay your position than you did at when you opened your position. That's what getting liquidated means.
Gotcha. So, so you showed us how to go long to loop. Now, what if you thought a token price was going to go down? It could be any token. How would you use a lending market to capitalize on tokens going down in price?
Yeah. So this is actually what I've kind of set up because I just happen to have USDC in my wallet. So to recap, going long mode, I would deposit mode, I would borrow USDC, and then I would swap it to more mode. So essentially, mode would go up, then I would swap back to USDC. I would take advantage of the price difference that since I opened my position, I would repay the USDC and be left with more mode than I started with. To go short is the two steps, two beginning steps is what I've just done. You deposit a stable coin, you borrow mode, and what I would do now is I would swap this mode to USDC. So as mode goes down in price, I have to pay back less in US dollar terms than when I opened my position. So if I swap this $20 worth of mode to USDC and mode goes down by 10%, all I have to do is buy back the same amount of mode, and it's going to cost me 10% less in US dollars to pay back my position. And I would be left with a 10% gain in US dollar terms. Yeah.
So lending markets can be powerful in all market conditions, is what you're telling me.
Totally. And that's, that's why this looping feature is really cool, because what I just described is a very manual process, but literally just going long and short on assets using lending markets is really easy with this looping, because you can just, pick a market, decide how much leverage you want, open that, and then you can unleverage in one click as well. There's no deposit, withdraw, swap, deposit. It does it all for you on the back end. So you can use these. You can use Ironclad as like like a trading platform if you want. And typically on a lot of markets, versus using something like a perps platform, you're going to be paying less to keep that position open, or you might even get paid to keep that position open, depending on what the market rates are. So it'll show you your net APY, and oftentimes this will be positive. So you'll actually be getting paid to have either a long or short leverage position open, which if you think about a perps platform, you have to pay funding rates. And typically the funding rate is going to be working against you. So I know I threw a lot more terminology out there, but yeah, lending markets are really powerful tools to be able to leverage up, leverage long, leverage short, and build positions where you structure your exposure to a certain direction really sort of like easily and effectively. So yeah, I mean, you can use like a lending market combined with a perps protocol to take advantage of here we're getting into like rate arbitrage, and there you can go as complex as you possibly could want, but lending protocols are a core piece of building a very specific position to get a desired exposure result. So yeah, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it. I hope it's hard to explain all these different positions in a short amount of time, but I hope this would at least be a stepping stone for people to start playing around with stuff. And it's the journey of learning how to put on more complex positions versus just holding an asset. It's a long journey, but it's worth the time. And you can really become a lot more sophisticated and just smarter about how you're hedging your exposure and increasing your exposure, especially on days like today, so yeah. I do want to talk about, now that we've gone over how Ironclad exists currently, I want to talk about our token launch, and I want to talk about our stablecoin that's going to be released.
Let's do it. Let me wrap up this last little chapter here. So thanks so much for going through these features, and I think you said kind of the magic word there at the end, which was hedging. So in the educational format here, I think it's and especially with how cheap gas fees are, it's very easy to experiment with these things. And I think once people who are in DeFi, I think a common strategy is to hold a token and hope it goes up and then to sell it. Mm-hmm. But once people can experiment with smaller positions and maybe hold some of the token, hope it goes up, but then open another similar position that opens up that short that you showed. So two positions that are going in opposite directions to essentially hedge. And then I would challenge people who are on that educational journey to kind of note the changes in emotion when we look at the market and different price action. It really does change. It's crazy when like I have a short position open. It's wild looking at CoinGecko. I mean, the lines mean different things to me when I'm psychologically looking at it. It affects my day to day. So mm-hmm. it's not just tooling, but so many people are on an emotional journey in their DeFi journey, and so these tools actually can help us balance ourselves in operating and thinking about our financial journeys and how we're using these things. So thank you for going through that tooling. And then yes, without further ado, what is coming up with ICL, IUSD, all the alpha? Very excited about this. Yeah,
totally. Okay. So I guess just to display something, maybe, okay, it's not showing the thing, but anyways, so like I mentioned, we had a points program that ran for a few months, and it's now culminating to our token launch. The token ticker is ICL. And so in less than 2 weeks, we will be seeding liquidity on Velodrome for our ICL token. Another really exciting thing is that we have a BitGet listing that's going to be live at the same time. So BitGet is a centralized exchange. They're like a tier 2 centralized exchange. I think they're number 11 in the world in terms of volume. But they're a respectable centralized exchange. We're very happy to have a listing there. And so there's going to be an on-chain and an off-chain market to trade ICL on launch. So lots of deep liquidity. The other thing
before you run really deep into this, do you mind if we go back to the homepage? I know you guys have some amazing graphics that are kind of showing the plans for ICL and IUSD, and we can get some visuals here to match your story.
Yeah, totally. Good call out. Let's see. See what I can land on. Yeah, stablecoin. Okay, so yeah, I guess I can kind of land here. And I think if we go to one of our articles, there also might be. I'm gonna open this up, see if I can find a nice graphic for you guys. So the other thing that's going to be live on day one is staking, both on Ironclad on chain on the app, and there will be staking on BitGet as well. So off-chain liquidity, off-chain staking, on-chain liquidity, on-chain staking. And with the BitGet thing, we're really trying to increase our reach in terms of our audience. I know BitGet has millions of users, and there's going to be people who are going, oh, what's this? What's ICL? And hopefully they will get involved and learn about the protocol through BitGet exposure. But essentially, there's going to be ICL rewards for BitGet stakers, and then there's also going to be yield for stakers, ICL stakers on Ironclad. And in fact, all of the platform fees that Ironclad takes, which were 0 up until very recently, we're only turning them on as staking goes live. So we took no fees up until this point. But now that we'll have Ironclad or ICL staking, there will be some platform fees, and all of those fees will be routed to ICL stakers in the form of mode and wrapped ETH. So I have a really good little visual here. Actually, this one is a bit, okay. Let me see. Anyways, I'm just going to keep talking. Some of these visuals are a bit complicated, so I don't want to overwhelm people. But essentially, we're going to have a staking pool, and you just take your ICL, you stake your ICL in this staking pool, and you earn real yields. All of the platform fees earned by stakers. And we have this really, really cool tech that was developed a long time ago called Reliquary. And essentially what it does is it brings time as a factor into the staking. So essentially, the longer you stake for, the more rewards you're going to earn relative to the other stakers. So we're rewarding commitment to the protocol and long-term thinking without requiring users to lock their tokens. We don't want to make anyone lock anything. That's something that we're fairly passionate about. And so rather than rewarding commitment with locking, we essentially weight people who have been in the pool longer. We weight their rewards higher than those who have just joined. So what this does is it minimizes dilution. So I don't know, like you guys, this has happened to me countless times where there's like create APR in this one LP pool or something. I hop into the pool, and then a day later, some whale comes along and chucks a couple $1 million in the pool. and dilutes the crap out of me. So with Reliquary and with ICL staking, essentially, if you get in on day one and you hold that position over time, someone who comes in like 2 months later is not going to dilute you as hard as if time was not a factor. So over, this is a good graphic to share. Here we go. So you can see, I hope you can see that, the maturity over months, and this has actually been changed to 1.5x. So over the course of 6 months, your maturity is going to be increasing. And then once you hit 6 months, you're going to be getting a 1.5x boost on your staking APY. And again, that's in mode rewards and wrapped ETH rewards. Yeah, so maybe I'll pause there. Is there anything you want me to dive into further regarding the staking?
Yeah, this is great. I love it because this is both a education for people looking for opportunities, but this kind of thinking, taking time into the consideration for staking and protocol design is also so incredibly powerful for our builders out there who are looking at different incentivization mechanisms for their product. You guys have always been, on the bleeding edge of things, trying things, and this is really, really incredible that we have time incorporated in some of these structures here. And so, yeah, no, I think that covers it. We can go as deep as you want with kind of maybe IUSD. So I know this is the ICL kind of plugging into this. How is IUSD? What are the visions there? How is it incorporated maybe with some mode liquidity? I know there were some interesting things there. And then what can people expect from IUSD, or why would they want to mint this? Or how can they mint this? Excuse me. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so this is like we're doing so much. It's really hard to condense everything. And honestly, the discussion up to this point has been like half of what we're working on. And the CDP module, the stablecoin module, is the other half of things. So as we just went through, Ironclad is a lending market right now. What will be released, and I don't want to give hard dates to make the developers yell at me, but very, very shortly after the LGE, the token going live and staking going live, very soon after, and I do mean soon, IUSD will be launched. IUSD is a decentralized stablecoin. Our vision for IUSD is to make assets on Mode, the most popular assets being Mode, being ETH, being LRTs, especially LRTs and interest-bearing collateral, make those assets work hard for Mode and generate multiples on their TVL. So what people will be able to do is take Mode or take Easy ETH or WETH, EtherFi's LRT, and mint the stablecoin against it, and use that stablecoin to enter liquidity pools or stake it in Ironclad as well. Now, yeah, there's so much backstory that kind of goes into this, but the model is based on a liquidity architecture. So if anyone's familiar with LUSD, Liquidity was one of the first CDPs, truly decentralized stablecoins on the market. And essentially people deposit ETH and they borrow LUSD. And it's as simple as that. What we've done, and some of the research that we've been doing into stablecoins, is to improve that model and allow for multiple collateral types. Also allow for using that collateral to bootstrap the lending market, meaning that collateral is used to as supply side liquidity into the lending market, earning interest on the collateral. So here's the user flow. You go to Ironclad, you say, hey, I've got some easy ETH that I don't want to sell, but I would like to mint a stablecoin against. Deposit your easy ETH on Ironclad and borrow IUSD. That easy ETH will be supplied to the lending market on the lending side, earning any supply side interest that is being paid out to easy ETH suppliers on top of the native yield that easy ETH generates, being an LRT. All that yield that is being earned is going to be funneled to the stablecoin. So as a stablecoin minter, you're earning the native yield from easy ETH as you would if you just held it, and you're earning supply side yield from the lending market, all while holding this liquid stablecoin. And it's fully decentralized, and it is it maximizes the efficiency of the TVL that's on mode, right? Because every dollar that goes into the stable, that goes into the Ironclad CDP, you're getting multiples on that TVL. It's being used actively in the lending market, and people are minting this stable coin, which is then going to go into a liquidity pool on a DEX, or lent on another lending market, or used elsewhere. So it's creating activity and efficiency in the mode ecosystem. Now, I'm speed running this.
You're building a 7-layer cake, my friend. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Hanging on every word.
Okay, good to hear. So I hope people's eyes aren't glazing over. So something that the liquidity model struggles with, especially with interest-bearing collateral. There's a reason I use easy ETH as an example, because maybe some of you are aware of a couple other CDPs, liquidity-based CDPs that popped up, like Prisma, for example. Gravita is one of them. Libra was one of them that totally kind of flopped, to be perfectly candid. A problem that these protocols have with minting a stablecoin against interest-bearing collateral is that people will do that such that they can lever up their exposure on the collateral. So like we talked about with the lending market, where you're depositing mode, borrowing USDC, selling the USDC, depositing more mode, and levering up your exposure to mode. In that process, you are selling USDC, meaning you're shorting USDC against mode. It's the same thing with a decentralized stable. If you are minting IUSD against easy ETH and leveraging up your easy ETH exposure, you're selling IUSD to deposit more easy ETH. And that is the behavior that's been seen with a lot of these liquidity-based CDPs, is that people are indirectly or directly shorting the stablecoin against the collateral, such that they can get increased exposure to the yield that the collateral is generating. So this is a problem, and it's hard because it puts downward pressure on the stablecoin peg. The stablecoin has to remain $1. What good is a stablecoin if it's constantly under $1, right? And so by people shorting the stablecoin in this way, a lot of these protocols are having trouble maintaining $1 because there's so much downward pressure on the peg. And you'll see a lot of them sitting at 97 cents, 98 cents. And so we need to solve this. And so we believe we have solved this. And I'm going to shout out my teammate Yuvi for some incredible research he's done in money markets and in interest rate models, and in the stablecoin side of things as well, where we essentially are introducing a management fee on top of the yields. So a management fee on the yield that's being generated on the collateral. Now, we're not taking that fee at all. All that fee is doing is increasing the rewards for the stablecoin holders. So it's shifting some of the yields from the collateral to the people that are holding the stablecoin. and thus balancing out more of the demand to short the stablecoin and the demand to long the stablecoin, which is just the demand to hold the stablecoin. So essentially, if you're depositing easy ETH, some of that yield, and you're borrowing IUSD, some of that yield is going to be routed to you as the IUSD holder rather than you as the collateral depositor. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to keep it as top level as possible. But the bottom line is that we believe that we've solved the problem of these decentralized stablecoins backed by interest-bearing collateral remaining below $1 because of this problem with looping interest-bearing assets. So yeah, that was a lot to take in, and I know if you're not really paying attention to this side of things, it's you're hearing these concepts for the first time. It's a lot to process. Don't be discouraged. The point is that we're creating a decentralized stablecoin that's going to have an existing internal source of yield, sustainable yield, and we'll be able to create an interest-bearing stablecoin out of that. So yeah, mint IUSD and earn yield and hold a stablecoin. That's the bottom line, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'll pause there.
The bottom non-financial advice educational line. It was the people who can visualize these liquidity models and can see the bins and know with minting it, and then the bins have to get liquidated, obviously, to keep the stable at peg. Have seen this model, and I'm sure there were many fist bumps in the air when you explained that. I know I was almost fell out of my chair a little bit, because that's the first time I've heard it broken down like that. So I can't believe I had front row seats to the concise explanation, Charles. That's really big. That's big time. And I say that concisely and honestly on the live stream. I mean, that's I reposted UV's research the other day, but didn't really know the exact application use case in this minting model. So wow. Let's and that really represents that's the mode ethos right there. Is we want to live on the bleeding edge here, and how exciting to put this out in the wild and showcase such years of hard work and research, and to see this play out.
I appreciate your excitement. I'm equally as excited. Super awesome to hear this, to see this model in action. As you mentioned, UV published his research paper. It's actually, dude, it's getting crazy traction. Shout out, he is that absolute man. Trying not to swear, but he's a G, extremely smart guy. And his research paper has been getting it's on a bunch of top 10 lists for like monetary theory, a bunch of crypto, research paper lists. And maybe I can find a way to link people to them if they're interested. They're very technical. It's very hard to understand. It's a real breakthrough. And the cool thing is that IUSD is going to be one of the first, I think it might be the second after our implementation on Mantle, that stablecoin that's actually going to use this model. So IUSD and AUSD, which is the Mantle implementation, are going to be they're going to be the first implementations of this, and I think it's going to really pop off. The other thing related to UV's research that I wanted to mention, and maybe this is even too much to go into, but not only on the stablecoin side of things, on the money market side of things, optimizing our interest rate model is another thing that he's doing. And we're going to be implementing a new interest rate model in the near future here as well on the money market. So I don't know, if you don't mind, I'm more than happy to just take 5 to 10 minutes and talk about that a little bit. I'm wary of filling everybody's heads up.
I think we're live streaming one of the greatest alpha streams that I can remember. So my popcorn is hot. I am here. I am sure others. We just crossed over the 1,000 view mark. I think people are calling their friends.
Yeah.
Because this is flowing now. So please continue this
Go.
orchestra that we're attending here.
Yeah. So I feel lucky. I get to steal the spotlight from UV, who's actually building this stuff. I'm just the talking head. Yeah. So the talked about his research with the stablecoin on the money market side of things. Now, a little bit of backstory. UV was an engineer, and he did a lot of work with what are called PID controllers. So proportional, integral, and derivative controllers, which are basically just closed loop systems that are used in a bunch of areas in engineering, that essentially they're just feedback loops that take data from outside sources, and they work them into spitting out. They take inputs and they have a little closed loop system, runs it through a bunch of math, and spits out an output. And it's a constant, stream of inputs and spitting an output in a really dynamic way. So he has sort of developed a way to incorporate this into an interest rate model in DeFi. So the most popular interest rate model that's been used, since the birth of money markets, and something that I think Aave was the. Well, I hope I got that right. But anyways, the first interest rate model in DeFi was called the jump rate, or it's also called the kinked interest rate model. So how it works is you have. I'm actually going to stop sharing, so maybe I can use my hands to visualize this. So actually, sorry, I'm flopping around. Jump rate model. This might be too much. See if I can get a visual. Please. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to share this screen, and this will give people a really nice visual. I swear it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it, folks. So here's an article about the jump rate model. So this little dot here is the utilization. So like I mentioned, as people supply assets, other people are borrowing it. And if you hit a utilization of, let's say, 80%, so 80% of all that's been supplied has been borrowed, the interest rate, which is marked by this, this purple line, is going to increase exponentially after that. So this is how money markets stay solvent. Once there are a lot of people borrowing, we need to find a way to incentivize those people to repay their borrows, to free up the market. It's a real balancing act, because you want a lot of people borrowing, but if you go too far and there's way too many people borrowing, then you run the risk of having bad debt accrue in the protocol. If anyone is familiar with what's happening with Michael from Curve this year and late last year, feel free to look into that. But there's risks involved with borrowers not repaying their debts. So this is what the interest rate model is trying to solve, where the interest rate is low, it's low, and then you hit this utilization rate, and then it spikes really quickly. This interest rate, it's a very simple model. It works. It's worked for the last couple of years. But I see it as kind of like a blunt instrument. There isn't a lot of flexibility for this to adapt to other market forces, and to adapt with, once you get past this point, if no one is repaying their debts, what do you do then? Like, if the utilization is way past what we want it to be, and still, like, people who have these open borrow positions, they're paying, 100% APR to keep that position open. If they're still not repaying their debts, it's a problem. The system is not working as intended. So where the PID controller comes in here is it essentially, where the jump rate model is a blunt instrument, the PID controller is more of like a precise precision tool that takes in a lot of other things into account. So I think Justin came up with this analogy, which is really nice, where like if you have a smart thermostat in your home and you set it to a certain temperature, it's going to automatically adjust to keep that temperature in your house. A PID controller in a money market is designed to keep utilization at where we want it at all times via adjusting the interest rates in a much more dynamic and sort of intelligent way versus as compared to the jump rate model where it has one input and it just spits out an interest rate and that's it. So the PID controller can take things into account like time, where it's going to be, if, for example, we were at a crazy utilization, the interest rate is really high, and over the course of a few days, no one is repaying their borrows, it's going to ramp up that interest rate even more and essentially force people to repay their borrows. And I'm trying to explain this in a way that to the full understanding that I have. I do wish UV was here because he came up with this system, but the end result is a money market that's orders of magnitude more efficient in terms of targeting a utilization, decreasing risk for the lenders, and improving rates for borrowers. So making the money market more efficient, incentivizing borrows up to a certain point, and keeping that dynamically adjusting that interest rate such that a lot of the market's being borrowed, but not so much that it becomes unhealthy and where you accrue bad debt. So it's essentially a dynamic closed loop system that's taking in a ton of inputs, such as time, how much has been borrowed, the behavior of the borrowers over the course of a few days, taking in all these inputs, running it through a bunch of really complex math, and spitting out an interest rate that's going to target a utilization that we're really, really happy with. So I know this is really like we're so far in the weeds. For the everyday user, it's like you really don't need to be thinking about this stuff. I just know it's going to be interesting to a few people, and for anyone building a money market, this is extremely interesting. And please feel free to reach out and DM me if you don't have access to this research paper, and if you want to read it, if it's something that you're gonna really sort of internalize, because it is a huge step forward in money market interest rates in general. And we've been using this blunt instrument for years now, and like DeFi has evolved so much, and it's crazy that the interest rate model that we use for most lending markets has stayed stagnant. And it's not really, it's just time to evolve in this area of DeFi. And the biggest lending markets out there, they're so big. Like Aave is such a huge institution now. They're not generally the ones who are going to be really pushing on the boundaries of making money markets more efficient, making these protocols better. They're so huge. They have a lot of billions of dollars at stake. They can't move as quickly. They can't be as nimble as as a protocol like us, where we're hitting the mid market and we can be just aggressively iterating and finding new ways to improve existing systems. I got to take a breath, but really, really excited for the future of Ironclad, I guess is the point. Cutting edge of stablecoin technology, cutting edge of money market interest rate models. And I think it's going to bear a lot of fruit on Mode. And you're going to be hard pressed to find a better place to lend and borrow assets on Mode and on other networks where we're implementing these systems. I mentioned Mantle as well. So yeah, super bullish. Really excited to see this in action. I know he's been working on this for like, this is months, maybe a year of work. And the contracts are actually, being written and tested and audited now. So it's a really, really exciting time. Yeah. So sorry for talking everybody's ear off.
No, don't apologize. This is what the deep dive is for. Deep dives, we don't know how far we're going to go, right? Maybe we're just seeing some corals. Maybe we're exploring a battleship. In this case, we are appreciating depths that are, it's gorgeous, my friend. This is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I know we're an hour and a half in. However, put the frosting on the cake here. Super bullish, super exciting. What is to put the cherry on top? I hope you have a little bit more in you here. But on the Ironclad Twitter, it says it is an official Codex chapter. Can we get into what that means? I know I'm going to leave that up to you. It's a whole nother can of worms, but it's important. This deep dive's been so great because we've started with the origin story, over in Granary and Phantom, and we worked our way up and told this journey and see kind of like this Mona Lisa you guys are working on right now. But what is the end game? Because Mode is obviously very focused on an application layer at the end and making bringing the next billion DeFi users on board and facilitating incredible UX. So how does Codex fit into your guys's chapters, I should say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good question. Huge conversation to be had there as well. I'll try and summarize the best I can. I do want to answer to tie a bow on the Ironclad stuff. The Grand Tonto, who is a legendary community member of Ironclad, shout out to you, Tonto. He's asking about the linkage between ICL and IUSD. So, like I mentioned before, ICL stakers are getting 100% of the platform fees. That includes the CDP module. So there is a very small one-time mint fee when you mint IUSD, and all those fees are going to Ironclad ICL stakers. So all the fees from the lending market and from the CDP module are going to ICL stakers, all in real yield. So essentially ICL is at the center of all this activity, and if if this really pops off and like we think it will, and like if our model is our new models are really performing as we know they will, then ICL is going to be at the center of this all, and you just not financial advice, but just stake it and get some real yield. So okay, Codex. So Ironclad is what we call a chapter, or we've also coined the term modular reserve protocol. You can call them chapters, you can call them MRPs, you can call them native credit layers, but they are extensions of our lending and CDP tech on different networks. Ironclad is on Mode, Aurelius is on Mantle, and we have more in the works for other networks. I don't want to say too much, but they are extensions of our tech. Now, these are the spokes of our hub and spoke model. And what we announced pretty recently, I guess maybe 1 or 2 months ago, is the hub of our hub and spoke. And this is an app called Codex that is not live yet, that is being built out. And it's going to live on ETH mainnet. But essentially what Codex is, it is a aggregation layer. It is a top layer that is going to surface a bunch of DeFi positions across all of DeFi. which includes positions on Ironclad, Aurelius, all of our MRPs, of course, and also other protocols, depending on who we want to integrate and how our development goes there. So what I mean by aggregation layer is you can think of it as like the Google of DeFi. I know that is like that's a strong way to phrase it, but it is a search engine for DeFi positions. So what Codex does, and this is a whole other branch of our organization that I'm not super connected to. I talk to them maybe once a week and just check in with how they're going. But it's a bunch of our engineers who are AI engineers who are working on AI functionality. And they actually have an app called Moon, which is wallet infrastructure that uses AI to build out things like account abstraction. And we actually, our AI application that's not connected to DeFi actually has more daily active users than it has six figures in daily active users. So we have a couple engineers that are extremely smart and have been working in AI for a very long time. I'm not doing a good enough job demonstrating what they've been working on because I'm so far removed from some of the AI tech. But essentially, we have this really, really good AI and LLM technology that we can use to build a search engine for DeFi and build these agents that can carry out transactions on behalf of users. So the end goal with Codex is to have this interface where, for example, I'm a user. I sign up with 2FA with Google with something. It's an account abstracted wallet. You create an account, and you can search for positions using this little agent, this little AI agent, and ask it to build transactions for you across any network. So as a really simple example, you say, okay, I'm on the Codex interface. I go, I have 1,000 USDC and I want to find some yields on my USDC, and it will search through a bunch of networks, any of our integrated protocols, find a position, and give you options. And then you just click that and you click confirm. And you essentially just all of the backend work with bridging, swapping, connecting to different apps, all of that is carried out by this AI agent. And it essentially is just doing things on your behalf. And I really wish Justin was here to wax poetic about this because he's obviously sort of been spearheading these efforts. And while I'm working on the MRP side, on Ironclad side, on the Codex side, there's a lot of the team will be able to sort of dive into this better than I can. But the goal with Codex is just to simplify all DeFi transactions for all users and make them available at the click of a button. And we just see this intersection between AI and blockchain being something really powerful in that DeFi is blockchain enables AI agents to enter the financial industry where it's not possible with traditional finance. Finance in general is very, very complicated. And for everyday people, they just want people to do it for them, and they just want some interest to be earned on their money. With crazy advancements in AI, I'm seeing a world in 5-10 years where AI agents are doing a lot of stuff for us. And it's extremely obvious where the product market fit is in crypto because, all this freaking bridging, wallet connecting, swapping, all of these like UI challenges, UX challenges that everybody's so familiar with and hates so much, can be abstracted away. And it's not, it clicked with me as the team started developing out Codex, because it's like, oh, we can just use AI agents to do all these like intermediate steps in an extremely it's in a more secure and a more efficient and extremely faster way than anyone can do manually. So that's essentially what Codex is. It's a search engine for DeFi, and it's going to allow you to create positions at the click of a button on any chain, with any protocol that's integrated. You'll be able to sign in with Google. You'll be able to just do that. So I'm kind of I'm mentally fatiguing myself a little bit, but what
I got you.
post in the comments here. Justin posted a thread today touching on this a little bit. So I'm just going to type in, well, hold on, I got to make sure my X handle is correct. But I'm going to drop the Codex handle. Guys, just follow Codex on Twitter. Check out the website that's up. There's some resources and there's some visual aids. I know what I've just said is probably completely doesn't make any sense and seems like a completely pie in the sky, application. But it's real and it's being built out. And all you need to do is just follow Codex and check out our development progress. Check out the website, and you can decide for yourselves. Like, don't just believe what I'm saying. Please just verify. Verify through. So I just posted it's codex.org on Twitter, COD3X.org on Twitter. So follow Codex. And if I think there's some retweets of Beebus's thread. There's also a Discord event happening in 5 hours and 20 minutes in the Codex Discord. So join the Discord. And Justin is going to be talking about AI and blockchain interdependence for about an hour this evening in the Codex Discord. So if you didn't understand any of what I just said, don't worry. Smarter minds than I are going to explain it in a better way. And the fruits of our labor will be born in the coming months and through the second half of this year. So thanks for bearing with me there. I didn't even talk about how this relates to Ironclad. So Codex will connect to Ironclad. And for Ironclad, this just increases reach and usage. So anybody who finds Codex and starts using Codex, on the back end, their positions will be built using Ironclad and using other apps that are integrated with Codex. It onboards people way easier to Ironclad. You're wrapping up Ironclad strategies into a super easy interface with just one click. It's more reach, it's a wider audience, and it's just tons of distribution through Codex being on mainnet and through our partner protocols. So it's a lot easier way for capital to flow to Ironclad and for people to use Ironclad without having to manually click around and fiddle with weird UI things and refreshing and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's it. I think we should probably.
Yeah, take a sip of water. You deserve it. You deserve it. You took the thought right out of my mouth. Or right out of my mind, I should say. I'm just these application layers for all of us people in the DeFi trenches and spending so much of our lives trying to just work to provide liquidity. It seems. It's such a big deal because bringing these users on board drives that utilization rate, and any of these systems that are built on real yield that just get stronger with utilization, it's massive unlock. And the fact that Codex is on that horizon, when people are analyzing protocols and evaluating where they should explore opportunities, having this complete story and knowing the roadmap that might not necessarily be on the Ironclad website, but somewhere else, you know, the chapter, as you should say, is such a massive thing to consider. So, man, Charles, thank you so much for the time. I did not think I would see fireworks today, but I was proven wrong. I was witnessing them for over an hour of just alpha going off in the air.
Appreciate
Man,
you.
any closing thoughts? You already dropped all your handles. Where can people find you personally? Where can they find other things that we might have missed? And when is the LGE again? The liquidity generation event? Just so we can
Yes.
touch back on that again.
Yeah. So LGE, we're targeting July 5th. Sorry, July 15th. July 5th tomorrow. Not tomorrow. July 15th. We had a couple setbacks with some partners. So we're just accommodating everyone and just making sure that staking's live, everything's live, everything is like we're hitting the ground running as soon as the token is on the market. So July 15th, liquidity will be seated on Velodrome. There's going to be a market on BitGet. The airdrop is happening at the end of that same week. So yeah, airdrop, we're targeting July 19th. I actually don't even think I've mentioned that yet before. But there's some alpha right at the end for all you legends who've stuck around this long. Yeah, so July 15th is the LGE. IUSD is going to be hot on its heels. Staking is going to be live on the 15th. All this good stuff. So follow Ironclad at Ironclad Finance on X. I am Charlie_DeFi on X if you want to follow me. I basically just repost a bunch of the stuff I'm working on. So yeah, feel free to follow me as well. And yeah, Codex.org on Twitter. And I guess thank you all for watching. I know that was like that was a marathon. So I really appreciate you guys sticking around. I appreciate you, Dees. Thank you for the platform. This was awesome. And see you guys around. Hop in the Ironclad Discord, hop in the Codex Discord, and keep up with what we're doing. If none of what I said made sense, then maybe just find out more through other means. Sorry.
Hey, they can always take the transcript and plug it into ChatGPT. Sometimes that's what it takes.
Yep.
Also, would like to shout out D King for sticking around and running the toggles in the back. I know this was unplanned, but so glad we could facilitate this deep dive and really align on the ethos of mode and showcase what is being built. It is so hard to really dive into these things. So man, it's going to be a hard act to follow, but we're gonna keep doing these deep dives. But thank you so much, and can't wait to touch base again when there's more things on the ground. So.
Oh yeah. Always happy to do this again. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bullish. Let's go.
All right. Thanks, D King. You can take us off. You can put the hook on stage whenever you want. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking around, and we'll catch you next time. Enjoy the holiday weekend for those of you celebrating.
Cool.